Hi, good morning. Um, my name is Amy Kochek, obviously, um, and I am the CEO and owner of Amy Kochek Creative, which is a full service writing company that offers ghostwriting, editing, um, copywriting, and coaching for writers. So I just kind of wanted to introduce myself first for those of you who didn't know me before I get into the topic of what I'm talking about. I normally don't do videos. Actually, this is my very first live video, and I'm only doing it because I felt really compelled to share my story. Now, one of the big things that I do with all of my clients is I talk about the power of your story, and that the most powerful asset that you have in your life right now is your story. And your story comes to heal you and to change you first. And then it comes to impact and change other people. So I've been living out my story and allowing it to slowly change me. And now I feel like there are certain aspects of my life that I really would like to share to not only um, continuously allow myself to experience healing, but also to help somebody else that may be going through the same thing. Now, before I start, I know the topic um, probably already has people on edge because it is a very sensitive topic. So I want to say first, my truth, my story does not discount your truth, your story, and your experiences. So I just want to say that right off. I'm not here to bash. I'm not here to tear anybody down. I'm just sharing my story and hoping that somebody connects with it. So, just to give you a little bit of background about myself, I was born and raised very religious in the United Pentecostal Church Movement, UPC, um, and grew up and was in it for 33 years. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the church movement itself, um, it's extremely rigid in the best sense of the word. There's a lot of standards, specifically when it comes to dress, how you physically present yourself, um, and very, very structured, standards written. And I wrote a post about this a couple of days ago about how a lot of things were already predetermined for me before I even had a chance to make decisions for myself. So, what to wear, what not to wear, what to say, what to think, what to believe, the choices to make, those were all predetermined for me. So, I grew up in a very protective bubble for 33 years. And 3 years ago in May, I decided to leave the church. Now, I want to say this, and I want to say this is why I decided to do this video. This weekend, I came across this video about some scandal in the church, and I got so engrossed in it, right? And I was like, I mean, all the details, the sordid elements, people bashing the leaders. That to me is a tired conversation. That's not a conversation I want to have because it's a reality, right? Like when we talk about like scandal in the church and the things that people are doing in the church, it's not shocking. It's just humans being humans. It's human behavior played out in a church. So that's not the conversation I want to have. And honestly, that's not how I live my life because that doesn't help me. Like, tell me how to live after this. Tell me how I'm supposed to live after 33 years in this environment. And when I leave that environment, how do I cope? How do I live? Yes, leaders in the church have abused their power. Yes, there's people in the church who have done very hurtful things to people. Yes, people have been used, abused, all of it. Yes, it exists. But I feel like that conversation doesn't push forward any type of growth or movement because the real issue is the system. And until the system of the church and until people are willing to look at the system and change the system, it will continue to repeat itself. And I'm not called to do that. That's not my job. What I feel as what I want my focus to be is what does life after it look like? And how do you move forward from that? Not allowing what happened to you in that environment to continuously control your life moving forward. And that's what I've been learning. And that's what I want to share with anyone that needs to hear it or that wants to hear it. So I'm going to tell you the 10 lessons that I learned once I left, because it was 33 years, you know? So it's almost like 33 years of this is the way life is supposed to be lived. This is the control. These are the rules, to now you're on the other side of it that you were told your entire life. If you go to this side, you are going to fail. It's awful. It's evil. So now you're on that side. What do you do? So I'm going to tell you the 10 lessons I learned. So number one is allow yourself to go through the grieving process. And I know that that sounds extreme, but it's very true. Anytime you leave one situation or one environment or one type of relationship and you leave that and you go to something else, there's a grieving process. Because what's happening is that when you leave that environment, you don't just leave unscathed. Like this idea of leaving and saying it doesn't matter, whatever, you know, they were evil people. Like some people leave and just choose to bash it or choose to spend the rest of their lives talking evil about it without coming to the recognition that you're hurt. Like you gave your time, your resources, your love, everything you gave to this environment, to these people. And when you leave, you don't leave unscathed. You leave and you leave with baggage. You leave with pain. You lose relationships that you thought that you would keep forever. And you've let go of beliefs that once drove your life. So you have to allow yourself to go through the grieving process. And after losing my dad, I realized in grief, it's not linear. Like it doesn't like, you know, grief doesn't start here and then like slowly go down. The idea that time heals wounds, that's a lie. Time doesn't heal wounds. Yeah, you lose your friendships. You lose your community in one moment. It's gone, you know. So you have to allow yourself to go through the grieving process and not pretend like it didn't matter or, you know, shrug it off. If you love hard, you hurt hard. You know, that's what I've learned. And it's okay. It's okay to cry over that. It's okay to hurt over that. It's okay to be mad over that. You know, like the stages of grief, like it's okay to go through those, the bargaining, the depression, the anger, all of it. And some days you can be good. I had one friend describe grief like being in an ocean, right? And at one point you could be like good and like moving your arms and legs and your head's above water, and then the next minute you get caught in an undertow and you're struggling to breathe. That's what grief is. Like sometimes you're looking at your life and you're like, oh my God, best decision I ever made. I feel amazing. This is wonderful. And then there's other days when you can't seem to pick yourself up out of bed, like the memories and the hurt and the anger, you know, it's okay. It's okay to feel that, but it's not okay for that to completely run your life without you dealing with it. So I've done a lot of research on the grieving process, not just in losing my dad, but in losing a community, a belief system, all of it. Allow yourself to go through that grieving process just like you would if you lost a family member, a friend. You lost a piece of yourself. Like when I left the church, I left an identity there. I left something that was built for me. I left the Amy that was built in this very controlling system, and I left her there. I have to grieve her. I have to let her go, and that's okay. The second thing that I learned is pay attention to who stays. Sometimes we can focus so much on who left that we forget about the people who stay. And I lost a lot of relationships, and I lost a lot of my support system. But at the same time, I was given a gift. And this is the gift that I was given. A lot of times when you go through difficult moments in life, they always say that conflict has a way of bringing forth the truth. So within conflict, sometimes, and once again, this is okay, people leave because the role that you played in their lives and what you gave them, you can no longer give them anymore. So they leave. because you don't service them in the way that you used to. So when you change, and this is not even just with leaving the church, this is like development, growth. So when you leave and you let go of a piece of yourself, or you change your beliefs, or you develop or grow, and someone says, I don't want that anymore, I don't want you in my life, sometimes we like try to convince them, like, no, stay, like, why are you leaving? I'm still the same person, let me convince you, let me make sure you know I'm all right, instead of gracefully letting them go and say, thank you, thank you for your honesty, because I would rather have people in my life that say, Amy, who you are now, who you are tomorrow, who you are in 10 years is okay with me. I'm in it for the long haul. I want those type of people in my life. And the ones that aren't comfortable with my growth or my development, and really just I was of value to them in this portion of my life, but I'm no longer of value for them. I appreciate the gift of their honesty that says I can't be in your life anymore. And that's okay, because the weeding out process, even though it's painful, it's actually quite refreshing, because now you look around, I can honestly say that the people that I have close in my circle right now love me for me. They're not trying they're not trying to change me. They're not trying to negotiate with me to make me into who they want me to be. They let me be me 100%. Now they might not agree with everything I do. Who cares? You know what I mean? I don't always agree with everything my friends do, because I have different personality, perspective, experiences. They don't have to do what I want them to do. I love them merely for being them. And I can honestly say that I have paid attention to the ones who stayed, who supported me through that entire transition, as painful as it was. I paid attention to that, and those people are my rocks. And there's only a few. Literally, there's only a few. And that's okay, because now I know that those few, I know that they're going to love me for me. I know that they're going to support me. And that's irreplaceable. You can't put a price on that. Number 3 is don't be afraid of uncertainty. Now, this is one that I still struggle with, because when I was in the environment of church, truth was so important, and certainty was so important. Like, you had to know, this is the truth, this is what you believe, this is the end result, here's the behaviors, everything had to be controlled. I was telling my therapist, I said, it's hard to go from a mentality of, if I don't know what to do with my life, I just ask. And I trust, okay, this person, they have a special communication with God, and they're going to tell me what to do. Okay, what should I do with my life? Okay, great, I'm going to do it. So I never allowed myself uncertainty, because that uncertainty meant that I wasn't close to God, that I was being sinful, that something was wrong with me. Uncertainty meant something was wrong with me. So then I had to go through this feverish exploration of, what's the answer? What do I need to do? There's nothing wrong with uncertainty, because there's a lot of uncertainty on this side, on where I'm at right now. Sometimes every day is uncertain. But the beautiful part of uncertainty is that it has challenged me to go within and to allow myself to search for the answers without going to somebody else. Because a lot of the times when I'm searching for certainty or searching for answers, and I'm going to all these other people, I am getting other people's opinions, their perspective, their experiences, their fears, their apprehensions. And there's nothing wrong with getting opinions, or don't get me wrong, but the final say, the final decision is based on me, based on what my intuition's saying, based on my convictions and my journey, and the lifestyle that I'm choosing to live. So don't be afraid of uncertainty. Like, sometimes people say, well, Amy, like, what's the next step? And what do you believe? And I am so comfortable with saying, I don't know. And it's okay that I don't know. I don't have to have the answers to everything. I can say, I don't know is an okay phrase to have, because you know what happens when you say, I don't know? You start to search. And in searching, you discover so much. If you're always trying to know 100%, I know, it's like you condition yourself to only have one frame of mindset. You don't introduce different perspectives, different teachings, different mindsets. It's all one narrow perspective. And truth, quote unquote, truth becomes solidified when it's challenged. When my beliefs are challenged and I have to go on a search to really figure out what do I really believe, that's when my beliefs, my values become solidified, who I am. But I love uncertainty. Uncertainty keeps me on my toes. If I'm certain about everything, how boring is life? So don't be afraid of uncertainty. Number 4, develop community. One thing, one of the greatest elements that church provides is community, right? I'm going to a building, and in that building are people who are all trying to improve a certain area of their lives. So I connect with these people because I can identify with them. I can, we support each other on this journey of development. And that's a beautiful thing. And I want to say this, I'm not downing church. I'm really not. Like I said at the beginning, this is for me. This was a decision I made for me because I feel like at this stage in my life and in the development of my life, I know that that environment does not feed me. It does not help me to grow, but I'm not downing anyone that goes to it. Do you see what I'm saying? Like everyone has to decide their path. Everyone has to decide what environments work best for them. But I know for me, that environment doesn't work for me right now. And I don't say forever, and I'm done saying those words. I'll never, forever. I'm just saying right now. But anyways, so there's that level of community there, right? And you grow close to one another, and you're able to be vulnerable with each other. That's important. And when you leave, that community leaves. And that's a difficult thing. Like I said, when we were talking about grieving, like that's a difficult thing when you lose an entire community of support. So what I will say, and what I have done, find and develop community in any area of your life where you want to improve and you need support, or even if you just want genuine friendships, develop community. Like I go to a CrossFit gym, and it's equal parts working out, but the other part is community. Like I've found great people there who are trying to improve on their fitness and their health, and I've made really great relationships. And when I go there, I'm like, church, it's church. Do you know what I mean? Like our idea of what church even is so like romanticized and put into such a religious mindset. But church is essentially a place where you go and you gather and you are encouraging each other and you're supporting each other. So my CrossFit gym is church. I go to a Weight Watchers meeting every single Saturday, and that's my church. It is like we sit and we talk about health, and we talk about fitness, and I have a group of ladies that I meet with, a meetup group called Women in Transition, because that's my church. Like I'm in transition. So I meet with these ladies every week, and we talk, and sometimes we cry, and we encourage each other. Build and develop community. Like it doesn't just have to be there. And this is not even just for people who have left the church. Even in the church, you can build community outside of the church. Whatever area you want to improve, or an area that you feel like alone or that you need encouragement, develop a community. Number 5, let go of the people who hurt you. I know that while I was going to church, and even now, I hear the term church hurt a lot. Church hurt is just hurt. It's hurt. And I know that I've heard the phrase before, you know, you go to work and you get hurt, but yet you keep going back to work. I really want to challenge that analogy, because I don't think that those two things can't coalesce with each other. Here's the problem I have with that. When I go to work, they don't tell me at work, welcome to this safe hospital. And in this hospital, we're going to love you, and we want your vulnerability, we want your money, we want your trust, we want your resources and involvement, and we're going to do our best to honor you and to treat you right. Right? When I go to work, I don't get that intro. Like when I go to work, I'm pretty sure that there's going to be mess involved, and you know, that's not going to be the safest place imaginable. I'm not going to give my vulnerability. So But sometimes in church, I think we promise and we have unrealistic expectations of the environment itself because it is propped up to be something that it cannot sustain because humans are there, right? So um, I think that the value of saying that this is a place where you're probably going to get hurt, and it's probably going to be by someone that you really trusted, and um, someone that should have had your best intentions at heart, but they did it because they're human and they're selfish and they did stupid stuff. And it is what it is, you know? Um, but it's important to let go of those people. Here's one of the things that I've been determined in my journey is that when I was going to church, I I saw a lot of people who left the church. You know, we call it backsliding. People who backslid out of the church and stopped coming to church. And I remember a lot of them were so angry and bitter and regretful and upset and just angry and for great reasons. And I'm not like people have experienced horrific things in that environment. But um, I think the thing that I am choosing is that I'm choosing to see the humanity of the environment of church. And I'm choosing to see the humanity of people that I trusted and people who I felt hurt me. And in the process, I'm sure I hurt other people as well. So I'm not standing on a pedestal, but I am resolute that I refuse to spend my days bashing leadership, bashing the church. You know, I'm just not. I don't want to make a bunch of videos of the control that's in the church and the bad people that are in the church because it's a reality. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's humans, it's humanity, you know. So my I've chosen to err on the side of forgiveness and to err on the side of just letting people go. And one of the things that I've done to really help me do that is I've written a lot of what well, I don't know that I named it, but they're called undeliverable letters. So what I do is I just write as if I'm talking to these people, and I'll write the letter and I'll say how I'm feeling. And in one particular letter, I was writing to an individual that I felt really hurt me. And I was telling this person, this is why you hurt me. And these are the things that you did. And this was not right. And, you know, I feel like you're not a good person. Like I was saying all these things in the letter. And then towards the end of the letter, I said, but I think I understand why you did what you did because you were hurt too. And because your hurt caused you to operate in the way that you did. So I release you. And I'm not wishing you well, but I'm not wishing you harm. I'm wishing you to exist and to live outside of my existence. So I let you go. And I've done that with specific key people who I felt really hurt by. And I didn't send the letters out because some people don't deserve your vulnerability. They don't. Some people don't deserve your anger. They don't deserve a discussion. They don't deserve, because I don't want to salvage these relationships. So the people I'm letting go, I'm literally letting you go. Like, live your life. I'm going to live my life. You're just not going to infiltrate my life. I'm not giving you that gift anymore. See, there were years before I gave you that gift. I'm not giving you the gift of infiltrating my life anymore. I'm letting you go. So it's a process, and everyone has to let go in the way that's unique to them. So what works for you, allow it to work for you, but choose to let people go. Don't give people the gift of remaining a part of your life by letting them stay in your mind. Sometimes I was having dreams, literal dreams of me, some of these people in my dreams, and I'm yelling at them in the dreams. And I was waking up not rested, and I was like, oh no, like, you don't deserve that level of my life anymore. I'm letting you go. So let go of the people who hurt you and choose compassion. I think it was Gandhi. maybe Gandhi. Gandhi was talking about compassion, and he said, compassion that's only given to people that like you or that you like and they like you is not compassion, it's preference. He said, compassion is something that you give when you see the humanity of somebody else and you're able to identify it. And when I saw that quote, it changed my life. It changed the way I let people go. Because when I let people go, I said, I see the humanity in you and I identify with that. I identify with human behavior. I identify with being hurt and possibly transferring that hurt onto somebody else. I identify with being in a very controlling and negative environment and judgmental environment and taking that and giving that to other people. I even identify with being in the church and watching people leave and cutting them off. So I get that. So the fact that some people that are still in that church environment that have chose to cut me off or talk negatively about me or have certain opinions about me, I'm not going to spend my days angry at them, because I can have compassion on that, because I see the humanity of that, because I did that. So that's number 5. Number 6, therapy and self-care. Therapy has 100% changed my life. 100%. I started therapy a year ago, a little over a year ago, and this is why I started. I was living with my boyfriend at the time, and I would wake up every single morning. This started in February. I would wake up every single morning, and I would get ready to leave. And now, mind you, I own my own business, so I don't have to punch anyone's time clock. I'm punching my own time clock. But if I don't punch my time clock, I don't make money. So I would wake up, I would get ready, and I would sit on the bed and I would weep. And I'm not a major crier. Those of you who know me, I'm not a major crier. I would weep and weep. And my boyfriend would come in and be like, "What's going on? What happened? Like, what's?" And I would say, "I don't know. I don't know what's wrong." And then next day, like the clockwork, sometimes I would even get in my car. I would drive to the place I was going to work out of, and I would sit in my car, cry, go back home. Debilitated by depression, debilitated. And it brought me back to this thought, because I was thinking, what is wrong with me? Like, why? What's going on? Brought me back to the thought of trauma. And I did a post about this a while ago. Anytime your body experiences physical trauma, automatically your body goes into shock. If it is trauma that is serious enough, your body will go into shock, because what your body is doing is protecting you, because it's telling you, whoa, if I let you feel all of this physical pain, it's going to kill you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make your body go into shock. You're going to run straight off of adrenaline. And when you're ready to feel it, I'm going to let you feel it. Right? So that's what your body does physically. Well, I believe that's the same thing that happens to us emotionally. When traumatic events happen to us, your body doesn't let you feel it. It's like you go into overdrive. Like I remember when my dad got into his accident and I had to get a flight out within 24 hours. I was in Chicago, immediately off the plane, I'm at the hospital. He's in a coma. My sister's there, the doctors are there, they're telling us all this stuff. It's like information's coming at me and I couldn't cry. It was like I was a walking zombie for a week. Every morning I get up, get ready, go to the hospital, sit next to my dad in a coma, and knowing that my dad was going to die. And really the emotions and feeling that did not come to the extent of the pain of that until much later after his death. And it was the same thing. When I left the church, it was like events happened so fast. I was on overdrive so fast. And it was like one person left, another person left, this conversation, that conversation, couldn't pull myself out of bed. But then like I moved to Florida and then I got a new job. And it was like I was moving so fast and my body just would not let me feel the pain and the level of trauma that caused. Once again, that's 33 years. That doesn't, you don't leave that, like I said, you don't leave that unscathed. So I recognized that my body was now telling me it's time. My body was saying, you're ready to start dealing with this and it's time. And I found value in seeking a professional that could help me see what I couldn't see. Like the value of a therapist is that it's a different perspective, something that you cannot see on your own, and they help you see it. And she's been invaluable because um, therapy is not somebody sitting across from you saying, "Oh my goodness, you're so messed up. I think you're crazy." That's not what therapy is. Therapy is literally your therapist asking you questions and you just taking your story, your experiences, and putting it in front of your face to see it from a different perspective. And that's the value of what she's been able to give me, is taking my life, taking my experiences and helping me to resolve a lot of pain, helping me to resolve a lot of behaviors, because it's subconscious. I'm fighting my subconscious. I'm not fighting my conscious mind, because logic allowed me to break away from dogma and doctrine almost immediately. Like that wasn't an issue for me. It's something I had been struggling with for so many years, probably starting in 2007. So this is like years and years of like logically doubting a lot of my beliefs and the way I was living. But it's the subconscious, it's the things that had been programmed into my mind for 33 years that I'm learning how to address. And that doesn't just go away. So I needed help. And then self-care, doing things that allow me to stay in the moment, yoga, meditation, um, turning my phone off on Sundays, like a lot of things that help me maintain my mental state. Because a lot of times when you're going through trauma or you're going through a transition in your life, you have to find space and time to renew your mind and to come to a space where you don't overwhelm yourself. Number seven. Okay, number seven, build a circle of support, not control. So this is going to be really similar to pay attention to the ones who stay, but I felt this necessary to make this a separate one because um, it's important for you to have people in your life that tell you the truth, that offer their perspective and offer their opinions. But this is the key: they allow you to make your own decisions. It sounds so simple, but it was not a reality in my life. That was not a reality. So, having people in my life that I can go to and I can say, "Hey, I just need to talk this out. I need to talk it out." And I talk it out to them. And at the end of it, they say, "Well, Amy, here's what I think. But at the end of the day, I want you to make the decision that you think is best for your life." That is a very liberating relationship when people allow you to just be you. So if I have a friend and I'm telling my friend, "Hey, I've been thinking about doing this," and she doesn't agree with it, she can say, "Oh, I mean, I wouldn't do it that way." But Amy, if that's what you're deciding to do for your life, then do it. Sometimes I feel like we don't let people live. Like we have these relationships and we want to control how they're living their life. We want to control the decisions they're making. Give your opinion, tell people, how you feel about something, but at the end of the day, let them make their own decisions and have people in your life that let you do the same. Like that aren't going to judge you if you don't live your life how they want you to live it, or you don't make the decisions that they want you to make. Make your own decisions and have people around you that unconditionally support you no matter what. And if they don't unconditionally support you and they can't be okay with the decisions that you're making, it's okay for them to walk out of your life. That's fine. I don't want people in my life that are only in my life when I do what they want me to do, when I live how they want me to live. So that's number seven. Number eight, pave your own path towards spirituality. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, and that's okay. Like I said, my truth and the way I live my life works for me. And if it doesn't work for you or you disagree, I am totally fine with it. So what I mean by pave your own path towards spirituality. So the first Sunday after I decided that I wasn't going to church anymore. So it was the first Sunday I wasn't going to church, which was so foreign to me. Like literally on Sunday, I was like, what do people even do on Sunday? Like, how does this work? Like I've been going, I don't know. I could probably count on two hands the times I like didn't go to church on Sunday. And I was probably sick, or I don't even know. Like I went all the time. So it was the first Sunday I had not been to church. And I remember I went to this nature park, right? And I had my Bible and I was praying and I said, God, I need you to help me to make sense of this because I know the decision that I made is the one that I wanted to make for me. And I know that this is right for me. But at the same time, I know that chaos is about to follow this. I know that it's going to be, I know that this is going to be one of the hardest things I've ever done. So I need you to help me make sense of what I'm doing. So I'm reading in the Bible and I'm reading Exodus, right? And it's the part where Moses is supposed to go up to Mount Sinai. He's getting the 10 Commandments and he gets the 10 Commandments from God. And then God tells him, go down and tell the children of Israel to come back up, prepare themselves, come back up, because I'm going to teach them, the 10 Commandments. I'm going to teach them the law. So Moses comes down and he's like, hey guys, wash yourselves up. We're about to head back up to the mountain. God's got something to say to us. The children of Israel are like, look up at the mountain. It's smoky. It's scary. God's voice sounds frightening. And they're like, whoa, that looks too hard. Like, that doesn't look like a journey I want to take. So how about you go up and you get it and then come down and teach us? And so because they were afraid and because they didn't want to do the hard work of going up to the mountain, Moses ended up being the one to teach them the law and not God. And I remember reading that thinking, oh, wow, that was not the original intention. Like the original intention was not for this guy to come down and teach them. Like the original intention was for God to teach them. But because it was scary and because it was harder, they decided to let Moses teach them. And that instance allowed me to say, I'm letting go of everything. And I'm going to figure this out for me. And I'm going to learn what this looks like for me. Not because I respect this leader, not because this teacher is very eloquent and seems to know what he's talking about, not because it's easier for me to go on a YouTube video and listen to somebody teach on spirituality. I want to go on the discovery for me. So I relinquish all of it and I choose to go on a journey of spirituality for myself. Because if I go on it by myself and for myself, and I allow myself to do the hard work, because it's not easy work, but I allow myself to do the easy or the hard work of discovering what spirituality looks like for me, then it's a belief that I own. I own it, which means that nobody can take it away from me because I didn't get it from somebody else. I got it in my journey, in my exploration, right? So it's okay to go on a journey by yourself, and it's okay if what you're discovering is opposite of what you've been taught or it's opposite of what somebody else wants you to believe. Discover it for yourself and be okay with what comes to you. Because I'm of the belief that every relationship is different, right? Every relationship. And the way that your relationship gets better is within the confines of the relationship. It's just literally learning the other person better, right? So I can go to like other people and get opinions like, hey, how do I make this relationship better? Or read books, right? But those are secondary to the work of just merely being in the relationship. And for me, like, that's foreign. Like, for me, I spent so much time getting extra resources and asking other people. And when it came to the relationship, I was like, this is uncomfortable. I don't want to discover this because then I got to discover me and I have to be vulnerable. So let me continuously feed myself with sermons, with books, all of it. And let me ignore the relationship part of it. And I've chosen not to do that anymore. So I've chosen to start at ground level. So when people ask me what I believe and what I'm discovering, once again, I use my phrase, I don't know a lot, because I'm on a discovery. And whatever that discovery brings to me, I willingly allow myself to go through the journey of learning. And I'm a learner at heart. And I don't think, whatever you believe, God, divine, universe, whatever it is, I don't think that that being is afraid of our questions or afraid of our journey. Um, your journey is your journey. And I think the main thing that keeps us in environments that control us, or environments that, or mindsets and beliefs that really don't connect with us, the only reason why we stay there is because of other people, is because of what we think other people are going to say about us and how other people are going to think of us. And let me tell you this, the cost of the cost of following your truth is a high cost to pay. It's not easy. The journey is not easy, right? But it's worth it. Number 9, I'm almost done. And this is connected with the last one. Unlearn to learn. So this is a lot of what I've been going through. Be okay with unlearning and letting go of beliefs to learn. Now, letting go of beliefs doesn't mean that they won't come around again, but be okay with not being so stringent on what you believe, that you're not willing to study, and that you're not willing to introduce new thought processes and perspectives and listen to other people. Like, there should not be fear in information. If there's fear in receiving new information, you have to question your initial beliefs. There shouldn't be fear in new information, right? So be willing to study, listen to people, talk to people. Like, that's been one of my greatest places of revelation, is talking to people who have different experiences, different belief systems, and talk to them in a way that allows you to be open. Like, don't talk to everybody feeling like you want to change them. Talk to other people in a stance of saying, I can learn from other people, right? I can learn from other experiences. I can learn from other religions and other belief systems. Like, don't be afraid of that. Because once again, if you're afraid of information that's outside of what you believe right now, or you don't introduce other information into your mentality, then I would go back and question the foundation of that belief, because there shouldn't be fear in that, right? Because the new information either solidifies what you already believe, or it challenges that belief. And it's okay for your beliefs to be challenged, because what that does is it makes you go on an exploration of yourself. Okay, number 10, feel your feelings and be patient with yourself. I remember when my parents got divorced. I was 27 years old. And I remember the day I was at the house, and my mom received a phone call, and it was from a woman that my dad had been unfaithful to my mom with, right? He had been cheating on my mom. And my mom had got the phone call. And I remember walking up the stairs, and my mom's holding the phone in her hand, and she's slumped over. And my mom is and has always been a very strong woman, just a beautiful human being. And I remember looking at her, and literally in a moment, like, the life was sucked from her, like, from her face, that I couldn't recognize my mom in that moment. And once again, when trauma happens, it's like you're in overdrive, right? And that whole week, it was like my dad was sleeping in his car in the front yard. My mom's crying every day. My mom's not a crier. And I was so physically ill. I was like dry heaving through the week, right? And my siblings are messed up, like all of us, like this traumatic event. Our family is breaking up, right? And I remember going to the church, and I went to church that Sunday, because of course we don't skip church. And I remember walking into the church, and a leader stopped me, and he said, I heard what happened, and I'm really sorry, Amy. And he said, but I talked to your dad, and your dad is sorry, and love and forgiveness are what love and forgiveness are whatever. It's required of you, right? So he says that. And I remember when he said that, and I was livid. I was so mad. It's not that what he said was wrong, because what he said was, I mean, essentially that's true, right? Like, the end goal should be love and forgiveness. No matter who hurts you, no matter what happens in your life, no matter what trauma you go through, the end result is that you can look back on it and offer love and forgiveness. But that happened 7 days ago. And to require love and forgiveness from me 7 days after the event was both ignorant and irresponsible. And I think that we don't, when I was in church, feelings were not explored well, because the process of going through events in your life requires the whole spectrum of feelings. And positivity and joy and happiness are not the highest feelings. We shouldn't worship those feelings. While if you're sad or angry or depressed, we're always trying to get you out of it. Like, how do I make you come out of it? No, sometimes you need to stay there, because the fact of the matter is, I was mad at my dad. I was angry. I had a right to be angry, you know? And in that anger, because it wasn't just about me being angry, underneath the anger was a lot of hurt. But because I allowed myself to stay angry and ignored the terrible advice from that leader, I allowed myself to be angry. What that allowed me to do was realize I'm not just angry with my dad, I'm hurt. And that hurt is connected to a lot of childhood stuff that I've never addressed. And as a matter of fact, I'm not just hurt by him, I might be hurt by my mom. And then maybe I'm not even just hurt by my mom, maybe I'm looking at my whole family structure. That's not a bad thing. What that does is it unearths sometimes emotions and resentment and things that we've hidden and we've shoved under, and we've tried to pray them away and rebuke them away and fast them away. But sometimes we're not meant to pray things away. Sometimes we're meant to hold them and to sit with them, because that emotion and that moment is going to lead us to the freedom that we've already been desiring. I'm so tired of good vibes only, positivity all day long. Man, throw it in the garbage if it replaces real vibes, because sometimes I don't feel positive. Sometimes I feel negative, and that's okay. Because if I sit in that negativity long enough, it makes me say, all right, Amy, what's going on? Why are you negative? What have you not been addressing for the past few weeks? What have you been covering with work, with busyness, with just going with the flow, with pure adrenaline? What have you not been addressing that this negativity or this angry moment is making you stop and look at? So through the whole process of leaving the church and starting a new life, I have chosen to feel my feelings. And sometimes those feelings are rage, anger, resentment, and then sometimes it's gratitude, it's joy, it's peace, it's love, it's whatever I want to feel. I feel it. Because I can honestly say I don't regret 33 years in the church. I don't regret how I was raised. I don't regret what I was taught. All of it has brought me here. And here is the most beautiful place that I've ever been in my life. So I do not regret it. And patience is so key. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with the process. Like I said at the beginning, grief is not linear. And coming out of that is not going to be a smooth process. And the time is not going to heal your wounds. Don't believe that. That doesn't happen. You just learn how to deal with those wounds. It's not time that helps those wounds heal. It's the work you put into it to heal, right? So it's the work that goes into starting a new life and becoming who you're meant to be. Now I'm going to add this one, last one, and then I'm done. I'm so long-winded, but it's okay. Number 11 is a bonus. Love people unconditionally. Love them unconditionally. I feel like sometimes what we say is unconditional is really conditional, right? So if I'm told, if I hear that God loves me, but if I do these things, then he separates himself from me, or he's mad at me, or he distances himself from me, sometimes I feel like it's a mixed message, right? Or if we say we love people unconditionally, but when people leave or people choose to go down a path that we might not necessarily agree with, we say that we still love them, but that love is accompanied with pity. It's accompanied with an agenda that we have because we feel like we're at this level of revelation and now they're at this level of revelation, so we want to get them here. I don't feel like that's unconditional love. I kind of feel like that's conditional. Like, yeah, I love you, but in the back of my mind, you're really messed up and you're living a really bad life, and I want to get you here. Um, and this is just from my perspective, right? And all 11 things that you have heard, my perspective, my experience, you don't have to agree because I'm still going to hold on to it. I don't need anybody else's validation or amens for me to live this and believe it and know it works. Um, when I think about loving people unconditionally, I feel like the mentality that I have chosen to take in my life is that I love you now and forever based totally on who you are, the core of who you are. And whatever decision that you make for your life and however you move forward with your life, I'm trusting that that's a part of your path. So even if you do things that I don't agree with, and even if you do things that from my perspective, I think, oh my gosh, she's ruining her life or he's making a horrible choice. It's my perspective, right? It's based on my opinion and my experience. And they're not living their life based on my opinion and my experience. They're living their life based on what they feel is right for them. So I can take my hands off that and say, people are going to live how they desire to live, and they're going to make choices that they want to make. And I'm okay with them making those choices because I love them for them. And I'm not trying to control anyone. And I'm not trying to tell anyone how to live their life. Because sometimes, even in our opinions and what we say, this is how you should live your life, according to who? Like, who are we to go into people's lives and say, no, you shouldn't do this, you should do this? According to who? That just puts us on like a really, in my opinion, it puts us on like this really prideful standpoint. Like, I have a better formula for your life. I don't. How you live your life is how you're going to want to live your life. So, thank you so much for listening to me, for listening to my rant. I think the main thing that I really want to come across to anyone who's going through this process, who's considering going through this process, who's come out of this process on the other side, I just feel like this can be a very lonely road on this side. And there's not a lot of support, and the advertisement of what happens on this side sometimes is so negative, just filled with people who are mad and who are bashing the church and who are trying to find all the dirt on the leaders. And I'm not one of those people. And I believe that there's so many there's so many of us that are on this side that don't want that. Like, we're just trying to figure life out on this side and trying to peacefully close that chapter of our lives. And I just want to let you know that I want to support other people like that. I had a friend tell me one time, she said, I don't want to talk about how it was done wrong. I don't want to talk about how, it was controlling, or, it kept me prisoner in a mental prison, and I was, emotionally abused by my leaders. I don't want to talk about that. It's a tired conversation. Like, how do I live? Now what? The now what mentality. And that's the journey I'm on right now, is the now what. And this side of it is beautiful, and it's liberating, and it's filled with love and filled with joy. And I'm grateful, and I'm filled with gratitude. So I'm going to end so I don't get too long winded. But thank you so much. Hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day.